And so when Karlie Guse officially disappeared, her name is, Guse, Guse, it was off of a hiking trail right there in the mountain range. And so we're going to be reviewing that much more closely because, of course, Guse, the family member who's directly involved, was a member of the crag, once again, and also another member of the association that runs nearby. So we're going to be covering that as these cases come to the forefront. We're going to talk about what happened to Miss Guse. We're going to talk about what happened to the others who likely were along that same trail. And that's going to be officially updated as well, right here next to the Daniel Robinson case update. So thank you. Karlie Guse, who lived with her father and stepmother in Chalfont, California, is a rural community of 600 people east of Sierra Nevada, right by Yosemite National Park. So she lived right here near the Yosemite National Park. Around the time of her disappearance, Karlie dealt with the repercussions of having been suspended from school. And on the evening of October 12, 2018, Karlie and Melissa asked if they could attend the local game, but they were unaware of their actual motives. So they called to see if she might need a ride and decided to drive her back home. The events afterward, though, are the result of information gleaned from Karlie's parents and those of the party. According to them, Karlie began to panic and was frantic, and is said to have been near impossible to console. At 8:30, she called Melissa and asked her to pick her up from the trailer park the party was held. "Never mind, I changed my mind," she said. Worried, she was driven out of the area, noting that Karlie hadn't wanted to get off the phone and had been adamant about being picked up as soon as possible. When she arrived at the actual trailer park, she found her stepdaughter nowhere to be found. While searching, she spotted a small light and found Karlie a mile away, running down the street and using her cell phone. When she spotted Melissa, she jumped in the car and was told she was very scared. It was echoed on her face. Her pupils dilated. Throughout the drive, Karlie vocalized her fear the car would kill her. And by the time they returned, Zachary was home. According to both of them, Karlie was acting erratic, huddling frantic, and chanting. To try and calm her down, Melissa served dinner. While the frantic behavior died down, she was anxious, disoriented, and paranoid as well. This led them to believe it was an adverse reaction to drugs. After dinner, Melissa took Karlie to spend time painting their toenails and reading from the Bible. Karlie was heard saying she didn't want to sleep, and she asked Melissa if she would. Fearing something horrific had happened, she was heard saying she didn't wish to sleep. The family's movements on the morning of October 13th have been placed under scrutiny after Melissa admits to Dateline that she lied about her actions. The actual events are as follows. At 5:48 a.m., Melissa awoke to see Karlie was lying awake and fell back to sleep. Between 7:15 and 7:30, she awoke to find Karlie was gone and the front door ajar. She and Zachary spent 2 hours driving around White Mountain Estates but never saw any sign of her. Unable to locate anyone, Zachary called Lindsay of Nevada, who in turn told him to contact all the authorities. With no indication of abduction, no Amber Alert was ever sent out. When investigators visited the home, they found no indication of forced entry. Karlie had left behind all of her belongings, including cell phone, glasses, and all of her money. This had led them to believe she would still be feeling the effects of the drugs. These possible sightings were brought to the attention of authorities, but nothing was ever done. It was decided another neighbor who lives down the street near White Mountains Estate Road claimed to have seen Karlie, also on paper. Finally, a third witness who cut through firewood saw a girl that matched her description on U.S. Highway 6, standing behind a barbed wire fence and enclosure. Investigators were unable to determine where she was last seen, other than the fact she was on Sierra View Road. So interestingly enough, this is Sierra View Road, right near where they went hiking. We're going to be looking at that. Thank you. So here we are, and this is interesting. Just gonna stay on this for a second here. Joar Gusevic, a distant relative somehow of Zachary Guse and Karlie Guse, is also involved in the crag rock climbing group. Karlie's father, Zachary, told Dateline she seemed disoriented before she ever went to sleep. The next morning, Melissa said she went through the usual routine of opening their doors, but they noticed something very unusual. Karlie was nowhere to be found. I went back into the bedroom and I said to Zachary again, "Honey, she's gone." "What do you mean she's gone?" I said, "She's vanished. She's gone and is no longer in her room at all." They decided to go out to each of their cars and drive around town to see if they could find her. Melissa says it was about 9:30 a.m. when they arrived home after their search. Zachary then called Karlie's mother, Lindsay, who lives in Nevada, to let her know Karlie was missing. He then called the Mono County Sheriff and filed the reports. So what's interesting is the place that she went missing was near Highway 6. Very, very unusual. And her mother, it's just very unusual, the whole circumstances surrounding this, because her mother lived in Bishop, California. And this is unusual because if we go back here and we look and go to one of her mother's former addresses, her name is Lindsay Fairley. This is what pops up right away, folks. Something very, very strange. It's going to be covered a little bit in this video. A white van, all windows are tinted and blacked out, and the white van apparently doubles as an RV of some type. This is right directly in front of the property, essentially, of Lindsay Fairley, one of her former homes. And of course, Sierra Road is really the place where Karlie Guse vanished. And she was known to be a hiker. She was known to hike and do things like that. So we're going to explore that. We're going to go down into that area too. But I wanted you to notice, even back in 2008 and more recent, there have been sightings of this van over here in Bishop, California. It's just a very strange looking thing. And they've got these trucks here that are always unmarked, and you wonder, just really what type of neighborhood it was. That's all for now. Thank you. This is U.S. Route 6. Quite a bit that's being looked at for a little bit here, but this is U.S. Route 6, and what's unbelievable is look at how desolate that area is, how unusual that is. Very interesting. Here's what it says once again about U.S. Route 6. The starting point was marked by a medium-sized plaque mounted on the stucco wall of Long Beach Convention Center. I headed to Long Beach Boulevard and eventually through Los Angeles and the San Fernando Valley, connecting with the Sierra Highway, which runs parallel to Highway 14. So we're going to go there. We're definitely going to go there. So Sierra Highway is a big part of this whole thing. Something went on the Sierra Highway, apparently. And it needs to be known. This is Santa Clarita, California, the Sierra Highway, apparently. Now, as far as it is known, this is really not all that far from Bishop, California. As far as it's not too far away from U.S. Route 6 and Highway 14. There's a welding company and crane storage company right here that has admittedly looked very, very shady for a while. Davenport Storage. There's just some interesting things over here. Could this have something to do with what happened to Karlie Guse? That very likely seems to be plausible now. This is definitely going to deserve a second video, much more in depth. We're going to be looking at this a little bit more in detail. Thank you. Folks, this is extremely important to record for some reason. Of course, there's also going to be a part 2. But this is the U.S. Highway Route 6, old Army of the Republic Highway. And there's 2 strange vans which have some kind of construction site insignia on the back. First time, very exclusive information for sure. Trains going by. This was in March of 2021. This is the area directly en route to what arrives at Cape Cod. And what's strange is one of these vans appears to be coming out of that old storage warehouse that was seen previous to this whole thing. So of course, as you can see with the Bakersfield and Bishop sign up, this was at the exact intersection for U.S. Route 6. Interestingly enough, because what has been reported is there was a crash that closed all of Route 6. That's correct. Right there in the Andover area. Very, very strangely next to Jonathan Trumbull Highway, right? And it also was closed around the time that Karlie Guse disappeared. So there's going to be much more to cover here. Words cannot express how much I miss you. The only thing that can ever make me happy is your safe return. You give me a purpose in life. Karlie's father, Zachary, told Dateline his only goal is to find his daughter and bring her home. It is like killing your family. It never feels good. I don't know what happened. I don't honestly know anything. Melissa, you told NBC that you did your usual routine and that sort of thing. Nothing else unusual. Did you think she was in bed? No, she tells Dateline. Karlie's father, Zachary, was also on the set. It was too early. You don't know what to do. It is now unclear when exactly Karlie was last seen. So she disappeared right after this. And what's very interesting about that as well is she's originally from Nevada, of course, and there's a strong lack of leads. This is, of course, interesting because it's once again Cape Cod, California. So there's a few things to address here. So this is important too, as well. This is Cape Cod, where some of the potential people who might have tried to abduct Karlie were seen housed at. This is interesting because it's right at Cape Cod, outside of kind of a truck stop style area. Very strange. And it's right next to a Crossroads Baptist church, of course. Kind of over there. Just bizarre, needed to be seen for what it is for a moment. And James Doolin, 18-year-old James Doolin, pleaded guilty to contributing to the delinquency of a minor in relation to Karlie's use of weed at the party, right before she disappears. Given the lack of evidence or direction, no one has been cleared of involvement and no one has been charged. As of today, Lindsay fears her daughter may have been overdosed right before disappearing, and the overdose on LSD seems to be apparent. So it's interesting because I looked and I searched high and low, and this is probably not incorrect. It's most likely him. Sometimes it's hard to tell. You know, he was 18, he was about 19 when he was charged. James Doolin. And now he's living out here, and you just can never make any kind of thing like this up. He's living in a backwater town of Indiana, which is Very interesting, to say the least. So we'll go there for a moment. Because it most likely is certainly him. May 2021. Interesting little, just, strange trucks doing some unusual activities in the back. And, of course, as it would have fate, right? All the windows are completely blacked out and barred. So, it's going to be included. If it ends up not being him later, I'm sure it'll be corrected and updated. But that definitely appears to be James Doolin, once again, who was charged in this criminal case, strangely enough. More to come. Very important. This could mean nothing at all, but it's unlikely that it does not mean anything. The construction zone in Tonopah, Nevada. That's correct. They have the same kind of insignia as some of the vans that we're seeing earlier. And I find it very surprising and shocking, that nobody looked at this area that's right here, branching off into Goldfield in Las Vegas. It's not that far from the turnpike that goes back into Bishop, California. And what you see out here, that's right, is some very, very almost ludicrous things, like this older Toyota Tacoma truck, totally unmarked in the middle of here, and a trailer park to top that off. So this area is very suspicious. It's Tonopah, Nevada, right off of the U.S. Route 6. And it appears to be the case that a UPS truck is often going by here all the time and so forth. Anyway, it appears to be the case that the abductors, or people who were after Karlie, definitely came through this area. So I think this is very, very worthy to look at. We're going to have a 20-minute session on this later. Thank you again. So that was the strange, untimely disappearance of Karlie Guse. And, later we're going to have a 20-minute video, really goes into detail on that, much like the Whitaker case. But I wanted you guys to see, this has been ongoing for a while, and certainly there are some peculiar people, no real persons of interest yet, but peculiar people who have been seen along Route 6. One of them being affiliated, it seems, with James Doolin, which was her apparent boyfriend, I suppose, at the time. And we've seen what appears to be James Doolin's Facebook page. So keep that in mind and spread the word. There's more to come. Thank you.